Welcome back to Wave It Docker. Another Orioles series preview on the docket for today. Orioles take on the Kansas City Royals starting today, Monday, April 1st, all the way to Wednesday, April 3rd. I'm going to talk about things that are to talk about. Orioles went 2-1 in their first series against the Angels, won the first two games by they outscored them 27-6 or something crazy like that. And then we fell yesterday 4-1, which kind of stinks, but hey, offense, can't be putting up 10 plus runs back to back games all the time. But the starting pitching looked pretty good. Tyler Wells settled in after giving up 3 earned runs early. Cano looked pretty good late in the game. I think I saw Cano gave up a single in the 8th or the 9th. That was the Angels' first hit since the second inning. So if it I don't know, it seems to just be little pockets of production for that pitching allows, but that could just be the Angels and their kind of poopy offense. But we looked good regardless. I'm really a lot of promising things for those first few games. I'm excited that the season is back in full swing. I really miss baseball so much. But let's just dive in to Orioles Royals series preview. Tonight's game: Dean Kremer versus Michael Wacha. Finally, Krem Dog bump day. Everybody stand up. It's the best day of the week. Dean Kremer is my absolute favorite pitcher on the Orioles. I love him so much. He is my hero. And I'm just so glad that I can finally watch him on the mound again. Last season he went, I think 13-5, 4.12 ERA, and the Orioles just won games when he was on the mound. Of his 32 starts, the Orioles won 24 of them. Isn't that crazy? Big game Kramer, as we love to call him. He was the starter for the playoff clincher. He was the starter for the AL East clincher. He did start Game 3 of the ALDS and kind of imploded, but he had a lot on his mind. I'm not gonna blame Krem Dog for that. But he's absolutely one of my favorite players on the Orioles. Probably my favorite player on the Orioles. I love him so much. I'm just excited to see him back on the mound. He makes me happy, and he has nasty stuff. And finally, dark horse Cy Young Dean Kremer, third or fourth rotation guy. Cy Young would be really funny, but whatever. Back to Dean Kremer. I'm just so happy that he is back, and it just makes my day all the more brighter. Michael Wacha, first year in Kansas City. This is his 4th team in 4 seasons, which is kind of crazy. He looked pretty solid in San Diego last year. 3.22 ERA over 134 innings. 14-4 last season too. He's been solid. He looked good in Boston the year before that as well. He's just a solid arm for the Kansas City team, and they have a pretty pretty solid rotation for a team that lost 130,000 games last season. And it's just been kind of in the dumps over the last few years, but. They're building something interesting over there in Kansas City. I don't really know what to expect from them. But, Michael Wacha, Dean Kremer, Game 1. Game 2 on Tuesday. Cole Irvin versus Alec Marsh. Cole Irvin, like Tyler Wells, is really only in the rotation right now because John Means and Kyle Bradish are down, although they have made starts over the last 2 years. Cole Irvin's in a really interesting spot. He was actually pretty solid as a bullpen piece, a long relief guy last year. Give him, the 5th or the 6th if the starter gets plunked early. And, let him go 2 or 3 innings. He was doing pretty solid with that. But early in the season when he was a starter, he was not that good. And we sent him down. And we brought him back up, and he was actually doing all right. Yeah, I think he's actually looked pretty good in spring training. So I'm just really curious to see what he brings to the table as a rotational piece with Means and Bradish down for the next month or so. Or at least one of them down for at least a month or so. Because I think he's probably going to go back up to the bullpen once Bradish comes back, which I think is the first one to come back. And it'll be Wells, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking forward to seeing Cole Irvin and see what he's got. Alec Marsh, second-year player for Kansas City. He was mainly a starter last year. He lost his first 8 decisions, which is kind of tough. But he actually pulled it together pretty well towards the end of the season. He has a 10K per 9, which is pretty impressive. A lot of these Royals pitchers are heavy strikeout guys. But a 78 ERA plus, the Royals were a bad baseball team last year. It's kind of the same thing with the Angels pitchers, where their stats are kind of, indicative. They indicate, blah, blah, blah. They show that they weren't really good. There weren't a lot of standouts last season besides the starter for Wednesday's game, which I'll get to in a second. But he has some pretty nasty stuff. Like I said, 10 strikeouts per 9. He had some pretty heavy strikeout games once he started to pull himself together late in the season last year. But second-year player. We'll see what he's got. In Game 3, finally back to pitchers that have made appearances earlier in the year. Corbin Burns. What a fantastic start from him on Thursday. He was wheeling and dealing. I couldn't believe it. I was at the game. And it was just strikeout. He had 11 strikeouts over 6 innings, only gave it 1 hit, that solo home run to Mike Trout, had no base runners, he was doing his thing. It was incredible. It's really surreal to have a real ace type player on the team, which is it's just crazy. Like you could argue he's, like I said, you could argue he's a top 3, top 5 ace, and he's our number 1 guy, which is just, I can't believe it. And then Cole Ragans, who is the bright spot on this Royals rotation, he is pretty fantastic, and he has some really good stuff. Went 6 innings, he had 2 earned runs, struck out 9 in a loss on Thursday for the Royals. But I mean, he's another dark horse Cy Young guy. Like he's not really like a media secret anymore. Like a lot of people are kind of dialed in on what Cole Ragans is capable of. But I mean, he's just a good pitcher, and I bet the Royals are real happy to have a young guy like him to be kind of the centerpiece for their rotation as they continue to build up talent alongside Bobby Witt Jr. and some of those other cats in Kansas City. But this should be a fun series. The Royals are an exciting team. What are my other notes here? O's had stellar first 2 games. Offense pitted out of Sunday. Everything looks good. Hoping to bounce back against an electric KC roster. Yeah, a lot of people have Kansas City winning the AL Central, which is really interesting. Which is like kind of a pretty insane turnaround. But in Bobby Witt Jr., he was a 30-30 guy last season. He's just one of the best, power speed guys in the game. It's awesome. It's cool to see for Kansas City. I'm happy for them, even though I hate them and hate what they did to us in 2014. But yeah, should be a really exciting series. I'm just so happy that baseball's back in full swing. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and go O's. Peace out.